to institute a mask mandate. Well, LA did, and St. Louis County did, but there's now just a little problem. The county council voted to end its decision despite a surge in cases. Here's part of this meeting debating the mask mandate. Take a listen.
ICU bed occupancy continues to increase. Pediatric patients continue to increase in number. And the disease seems to be striking a younger age group than we saw at the same time last year.
All right, that was one soundbite, and there were an awful lot of people who were quite angry. Do we have this guy's sound? No, we don't have this guy's sound, but you can imagine what he was saying based on what he was wearing, or not wearing, I should say. The council voted 5-2 to end the mask decree after emotional pleas, as you saw, to end the order, and some emotional pleas to keep the order. A number of people defied the order by not wearing masks when they showed up. Council member, former police chief Tim FITCH, led the charge to end the mandate and joins us now. We appreciate the time, sir. What surprised me most is when I looked at this, 5-2 means it was a bipartisan vote.
A supermajority of the county council, Republicans and Democrats, effectively terminated the mask mandate.
And let me see if I understand this right. The county executive unilaterally put the mandate in, and then you guys voted to end the mandate. How does that work?
The way it works is there's a change in state law that happened in June where it said the county executive has to come to the county council, tell us of his plans, and basically recommend what he wants to do. He did none of that. The Department of Public Health director told us he was intentionally told not to involve the county council in this decision because the county executive wanted to release this all on his own. So we took, obviously, offense to that. And our only option, according to the state law, is we could have terminated it. And that's exactly what we did last night.
So was this about masks, or was this about the process that the county executive went through?
Well, first of all, it's certainly about the violation of state law. That's what I focused on last night, is he did not follow state law, and the state law gives us the opportunity to terminate it. So what we did is we really weren't in a position that we wanted to have discussion last night about masks. My guess is that will take place at some day down the future. This was about the process of not following state law. They ended one-man rule. He decided he was going to keep that rule anyway, and he's still sticking to his guns today, even though we terminated it. He claims that his mandate is still in place.
So do you have to wear masks in St. Louis or not?
In the city of St. Louis, they still have a ordinance or a mandate that says that. Not in St. Louis County. You know, St. Louis City is not in St. Louis County. We completely surround. We have 1 million people. They have about 280,000. So
in St. Louis County, if I go to dinner in Clayton or out in Creve Coeur or in Chesterfield, suburbs of St. Louis, I don't have to wear a mask.
That is correct.
Fascinating. Now, local restaurants, though, can tell you to. It's not like Florida where they can't tell you what to do.
Absolutely. It's a private business. If the grocery store says we want you to wear a mask, you can. Nothing's stopping them from doing that.
The reason the county executive said they wanted to have a mask mandate, and one of the things they cited, in addition to the sound bite you heard from that doctor speaking about rising hospitalization rates, is Southwest Missouri, the Springfield area, and in particular the Ozarks, which is where a lot of people from St. Louis go to vacation, is one of the 3 hottest hotspots of the Delta variant around. Do you worry that there's going to be a time when there's going to be a lot more people coming up from the Ozarks after weekends bringing the Delta variant back to St. Louis, and all of a sudden we're going to get a lot more people infected in your city?
No, not really, because we know that the vast majority of the people that travel down to that area for holiday vacations, they're vaccinated. So that's not a problem for us. Our concern is when the residents from those areas, those hotspot areas, start flowing into our hospitals in the St. Louis metro area. And we have seen some of that right now, but to throw mandates on St. Louis County residents because we have people from 3-hour drive away coming to our hospitals makes no sense whatsoever at this point.
So if things got worse in St. Louis County, meaning the hospitals started filling up with these people from the rural parts of Missouri coming up, and there'd be a reason to, considering how good the health care is in St. Louis, then would you want to have a mask mandate?
It would be something that I would at least listen to the health professionals, not the politics. By the way, the current health director, who, by the way, was upset after his talk last night and flipped the middle finger to the crowd as he was leaving.
Wow.
I would be interested in listening to the medical professionals that are not serving at the pleasure of the county executive, like our Department of Public Health director is. He could fire him tomorrow if he doesn't like what he does. So I would at least be open to listening to the arguments, and we haven't had that opportunity.
Well, important to know, you said the vote was 5-2, which was indeed bipartisan. We asked the two people who voted to keep the mask mandate to come on, invited both of them. They declined, so the invitation remains open. We're going to get you to take off your city councilman hat for a second, put on your police chief hat, because you were the chief of police in St. Louis County to 1 million people that you kept safe. We've seen around the country police chiefs in Chicago, in Oakland, in Washington, D.C., all now saying effectively, don't blame us, blame the politicians, blame our bosses, the police chiefs say. As a police chief, how big of a deal is it to say that and to put your job at risk and say blame the bosses for the increase in crime?
It depends if you have a contract or not. That's how you usually can find out if they're free to talk. So if they have a contract and the mayor can't just walk in and say, you're fired, bring in the next one. In Oakland, if you look at Oakland, California, how many police chiefs have they had there in the last 10 years? No contract. So they are on the hook. So when they say something that the mayor doesn't like, or there's a new mayor that comes in, the first thing they do is whack the police chief. That's how that works. Okay, so Oakland, we didn't have a chance to do as much research on this segment as we would have liked, but do you have any idea about Chicago and Washington, D.C., where we've heard the police chiefs really coming out against the politicians? Well, I know David Brown very well, who's the police chief in Dallas. He was the chief, he was the police chief today in Chicago, but he came from Dallas. Him and I went to Israel, if you remember that trip. We went to Israel together and visited over there and learned about their policing. I will tell you, he's a man of integrity. And if he thinks it's a problem, knowing him, he would probably blame the politicians, even if he didn't have a contract. So that's how he's put together. It's interesting. The thing he blames not only the politicians, but Kim Foxx, the prosecutor, who he says just isn't locking up the frequent flyers of gun crime that are shooting up the streets of Chicago every weekend. That's a problem that's in St. Louis as well. Absolutely. We have a circuit attorney here in the city of St. Louis, Kim Gardner is her name, and same thing. She has decided that she's not going to prosecute a lot of crimes. And I've always said to these individuals, if you want to be a legislator and you want to enact law, then fine. But it's not your job as the prosecutor to decide what laws you will and will not enforce. It's up to you to prosecute crimes. That's what you were elected for. So they've really become de facto legislators, and they're deciding what they believe in. Like our prosecutor in St. Louis County does not believe in the death penalty. Well, Missouri allows it, and he says, I'm never going to seek it. So he's acting as a legislator is what he's doing. Well, and in St. Louis City as well. Former Colonel Tim Fitch, now Councilman Tim Fitch, we appreciate your time, sir. Good conversation.